Wars series is here. Chatswain is back, and we're here to talk about the brand new Star Wars series that feels a little bit more grown up than most of the new content in the franchise. All that and more here on Chatooine. Okay, we're back. Welcome back to Chatooine, everyone. You guys kind of know the routine. If you're here already, that means you're not new. But if you happen to be new, we are Chatooine. We talk about news topics, debates, everything in Star Wars. And we've been gone for a while. Clearly Goldman isn't here. He is at a Denver Broncos game right now. I imagine that's where he's at because it's in Denver. I think the game. I don't know if he's a Denver Broncos fan. He might have flown out there just to.
Well, he's
the other team.
He was living. I mean, he was living around there, wasn't he? That's where he was.
I have no idea. I have no idea where he lives. Truth be told, I have no idea where he lives. Honest to God, I think that's the one thing I've never asked the man. I was like, where does Goldman reside? If it's Colorado, though, I'll go visit him and throw him off.
That's what I meant by around there, like Colorado.
Yeah, probably. I know he lives in like a mountain state. Maybe he lives in Texas. Maybe he lives in good old El Paso.
Ain't no mountains in fucking Texas.
Yes, there is. There's a few in like West Texas.
Those are hills.
Shit. Yeah, they are hills. When I went to California in Anaheim for celebration, they were like, "Yeah, that's not a mountain. StarWarsOnly. That's a hill." It's like shit.
It's a mountain.
Yeah, so sad. So sad. Well, anyways, we are back. How have you guys been? I feel bad for the chat because I haven't been active as StarWarsOnly. Palpamemes, I don't know what he's been going. I mean, clearly he hasn't gotten a haircut in months.
Lost my home. I've been living off the streets. It's been rough out there.
No shit. I mean, well, the setup looks the exact same, so I'm really impressed that
the government hasn't taken this yet. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and then Lunga.
Hey, Connor, don't Palpamemes, don't Ruby Ridge us, please. Don't Ruby Ridge us. Okay, let's not go there.
Oh man. Well, we are back. And we're happy to be back. It's been a while. We're happy to kind of get the show going on the road again. It's going to be kind of a nice little segue. I'm going to try to upgrade the show Chatooine as we go on and just see what happens. Star Wars is in a very unique situation right now. I think Palpamemes, you made a good point about this on Twitter the other day of like, I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just in this weird state of existence.
I said it was in probably... Yes, the weirdest, but also probably one of the worst states I've seen it in my entire life. I'm only 22, but in Andor, which we'll talk about, is kind of proof of that, and we'll talk about that when we get to our thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, that's a big topic for today. Before we got into that, I just wanted to catch up with everybody and see what everyone's doing and how's life been treating everyone. We haven't done a show in a couple months. This is our new season 4 of Chatooine. It's amazing how not far we have come as a podcast or a show. But no,
we've come this far. Lunga now is Lunga on the road when it comes to Chatooine.
Yeah, people are probably wondering what's up with the sound because you hear cars every now and then in the background.
Lunga, can you tell us what is happening to you? Why are you on the road, Lunga?
I need to make money. That's what I'm on the road.
Okay. We all.
Yeah.
So
if you guys have been curious why we haven't been so active, it is because we all need money. And, believe it or not, yeah, it really does. I haven't uploaded on YouTube. I haven't uploaded since the last Kenobi episode. I don't even think I put out a review for the Kenobi finale. I think I was just so I was in such an odd point in my life. And I really have been living paycheck to paycheck for the better part of a year, if almost a year and a half now, since moving out to Florida, which might have been a mistake in hindsight. And man, it's been rough for all of us, So it's kind of interesting how life can take priority over something like this, which this is kind of the most interesting aspect of a lot of our lives, and I really love doing this stuff, but. Man,
the only thing that goes on my channel is the D&D streams at night.
Mm-hmm.
And the D&D streams that nobody watched.
I'll tune in, but Lunga, I'm so out of loop on what D&D is that I don't even I'll join your stream and I'll be like, where the fuck are they at this point in the game? I gotta rewind like a couple hours to figure it out. I'm so bad with D&D.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm scared to even upload on my channel just because of the lack of views. But even Star Wars itself, I feel like is kind of been in this weird state of like there's not that much interest and conversation going around Star Wars as a whole, and I don't know why that is. It's been nice to be out of the loop because I've been focusing on my own life, and thinking about Star Wars hasn't really been on the top of my mind for a while now. I don't know what there is to really think about. It's everything. So I think during the break, KOTOR, maybe a week after we did the last episode, KOTOR got delayed, the game and everything, and it was just like it just makes it. People joke about it.
What's the point anymore?
It's the funniest thing because we've talked about for so long how they don't market anything for Star Wars, but then people will complain about, I guess, us complaining or others complaining. They're like, "Oh, you guys always complain about projects being delayed and all that stuff. Wouldn't you rather it be like, good?" And it's like, yeah, but like if you keep announcing things and then they're always delayed and they're always like, never going to happen the same way they're meant to be. It's just kind of discouraging. It's really hard to be engaged with a franchise where nothing is going on.
Yeah, that is a definite Lucasfilm problem, and so it's not necessarily complaining about the delays. Like when delays are there for a reason to make sure the product's good. Normally, it's like that's a good thing. We're cool with that. But these seems like delays that it's like they're delays like because they don't know what they're doing. They rush to announce things because they feel they have to. They don't announce things on times they should. And then they have to roll back on everything they did announce because they're not ready to complete it. So it's just that's the issue.
I feel like we've been saying this ever since I started coming on the streams. It's been, well, this got delayed and this is happening again, and I feel like it's a never-ending cycle.
And I think that's what's kind of discouraged maybe the three of us. I don't know if I can say the four because we don't have Goldman here, but definitely even on the YouTube side of things for Star Wars. And even I see this through Instagram. I mean, I make that reference a lot, but it's very unique for me to have mutuals who are into the YouTube Star Wars space and they make, good money, or they make some money from talking about Star Wars on YouTube. And then I have friends on Instagram who do the same thing, and everyone's saying the same. I don't really care about Star Wars anymore. I'm not really interested in Star Wars anymore. And like Palpamemes just said, we keep saying it's one of those things where it's repetitive of like, we feel this way for a while. Well, at some point we're going to stop caring. And I don't mean that in a facetious way of like, oh, we're giving up on the franchise, but it should be kind of a sign to Lucasfilm that like when you have these people like us who care so much that we're trying to make these little side hobbies, passion projects with Star Wars, and it turns into something like this where you never get the announcements that you should, you never get the projects that you should. Everything's always delayed. We keep saying the same thing for about a year or two and telling Lucasfilm, you got to stop doing this, and they don't stop. Well, eventually we're going to stop complaining and just stop watching in general. I feel like that's happened with the fandom.
Yeah, but here's the other thing I'll say about this. Like for me especially, I'll say probably maybe it's more unique for me. So I'm into so much stuff and I like so many things. When the Star Wars is like this low and there's nothing going on, it just goes out of sight, out of mind for me. And then when it does pop up, it's a nice little surprise, and it's like, oh, look, and it gets me a little excited. You know what I mean? So that does work for me that way because my head's on so many different things. But at the same time, I'm almost getting to the point now, especially after being a comic book guy. I'm more of a DC guy, but I still like MCU movie products. And what they've been putting out lately, at least on the TV side, I'm like, oh God, please, Star Wars, don't do this. Just keep delaying stuff and make sure it's good. Because what's been going on D+ for Marvel is atrocious. It's just bad.
You mean you don't like She-Hulk and Megan Thee Stallion?
Dude, don't even get me started.
What's wrong with you?
Don't get me started on Green's Anatomy.
All I have to say is that I told you guys, I told you so long ago. I've been such a Marvel hater for so long, and it's always nice to be so far ahead of the curve that when you guys finally come around, I just am already not care. Like,
well, no, I mean, stuff was good. Moon Knight was good. I liked Moon Knight. Moon Knight was actually good. The Hawkeye I was not too happy with. Falcon and Winter Soldier I liked. Loki, okay. WandaVision I really liked. There was some stuff that was good, but now it's just gotten so dumb, and it's like, and I don't want to be that guy. I'm not that guy that hates on woke. and this and that. It's like I'm all for diversity and inclusion and all this other good stuff. Give me what you got. I don't care. But when the writing is so bad that it's geared towards only that, and that's the main topic, instead of the, I don't know, superheroes, which is what the show is supposed to be about, that's when it gets on my nerves. And that's what's happening with She-Hulk. But let's get on to Star Wars. I don't want to talk too much about
I don't like talking to MCU.
It's beating a dead horse for me. But yes, we can talk about Star Wars. We did just get a brand new series, which is the Andor series. This brand new Andor series, which was announced. God, I remember when this was announced. This is how it does make me feel a little bit old at times. Of like, wow, I can't believe it's been 4 or 5 years since this was announced, and it's finally happening. I'm surprised that we've made it this far. I'm surprised that this series even happened. It was on the verge of not happening due to, yet again, creative differences. They did not like the scripts. And then, once again, Tony Gilroy clutches victory from the jaws of defeat. I will say, so I've seen the first 3 episodes. I just rewatched 1 and 2 because I wanted to kind of remind myself about it. I would love to, would love to make a review on it for my channel, just because I haven't made reviews in a while, but I need to make one for the first 3 episodes. But my unfiltered thoughts, at least coming out the gate for this series, is I really do enjoy the Andor series. This is a show that I think gets Star Wars. You're right, Lunga. This is one of those shows that people, I think in the past year, finally started turning their heads and going, this may have something special. And I want to pinpoint this reason for this show working out first. And I think the main reason the show works so well is that it is a story that happens to be set in the Star Wars universe. It is not a Star Wars story that needs to be connected to anything and everything else. When I look back at the Obi-Wan series and I look back at the Book of Boba Fett and I think about what I didn't like about those shows compared to this series so far, is that Obi-Wan goes above and beyond to connect to Star Wars Rebels with the Inquisitors. It goes above and beyond to connect to A New Hope, and above and beyond to connect to Revenge of the Sith. And it's, oh, you remember Hayden? Well, here's the Inquisitors. You remember Vader. You want to see James Earl Jones back. You want to see all this stuff, all these, just, it's member berries in a way, and I don't mean that in a facetious way, but even Book of Boba Fett did it, where it's more about connecting this universe and connecting the show to other aspects of the universe and other shows and setting up future plot lines. This show, at least in the first 3 episodes, are about a guy who's looking for his sister, who happens to kill 2 Imperial officers, these 2 cops who are just assholes, and now he has to deal with the fallout of that. Now he has to join this rebellion to, escape this life that he's already had to escape from when he was younger, when he was picked up by what's her name, Marva or whatever. Love her to death. Marva. These characters are great. This story is very unique and engaging, and the acting is phenomenal. This show,
oh my god, it is chock full of actors, dude. It's just.
But wow. I mean, even what's the guy with the mustache at the beginning in the first episode? The one that the Imperial officer kind of goes to, and he's like, hey, yes, he was in Game of Thrones, and I remember his voice immediately, and I was like, I can't believe they got this guy, one of the guys from the Knights of the Vale or something like that. But anyways, this whole show, at least in the first 3 episodes, like I said, very grounded, very much a story that just happens to be set in the Star Wars universe. Very engaging characters. I'm hooked so far. I really do enjoy the show, and I honestly couldn't be happier. I'm not going to say this brings Star Wars back, it makes it alive and well and everything, but this really does show to me that Star Wars can do good storytelling. You just have to get the right storytellers.
And are you done? Because I have so many thoughts.
That's it. Please, Lunga, let it rip.
So many. Okay, I said, like, when the show was very first announced, I'm like, fuck, who cares about Andor? Who cares about Andor? Mm-hmm. And I think that, to begin with, I think a lot of people's distaste and disinterest in this show is because it's not a character anyone cared about, right? Not many people really, they liked him in Rogue One, but they didn't really care about the character. They didn't have any emotional investment in this character, right? Whereas Diego Luna, I think, did such a spectacular job. And arguably, let's be honest, Rogue One was the most well-received Disney Star Wars movie to date. It was the most well-received one. So we start out with that. Then we get into the show, And as it got closer and closer, we started getting the trailers and this. Now I'm like, this is actually looking really good. I'm going to really enjoy it. It's going to be a long form storytelling. It's going to be a lot of intrigue, a lot of political stuff. I said it's going to be kind of a Game of Thrones-y or maybe underworldy kind of deal in the Star Wars universe. And that's what it looks like it's starting to lead up to. And yes, we started with the first 3 episodes, which was basically setting it up, right? They used flashbacks correctly, unlike Boba Fett. Okay, the flashbacks actually were done right. They went parallel with the story, and they helped flesh out backstory for a character that we know, but didn't know necessarily his backstory.
Lunga, are you telling me you didn't want to see 2 full episodes of the Canary accents?
No.
Okay.
No. But think about it. The way they did it in the show, it was split up, right? And we got tidbits of it. It wasn't a 20-minute long flashback like we get in Boba Fett. You know what I mean? It was just, sprinkled in. And I kind of like that apocalypto kind of feel where they're talking in the language and there's no subtitles, right? You don't know what they're saying. You got to go with the emotes of the characters, to see what they're feeling and stuff like that. So I like that. I like the way they did that. And it instantly grabbed me. I instantly cared about Cassian. What's going on. He's in a position where apparently he keeps losing friends because he keeps getting in trouble. I liked that because when we first saw Cassian in Rogue One, he was this guy who was by any means necessary, right? We see him start out with him killing someone. Doesn't matter, he doesn't care. Kill. And the whole story about him in Rogue One was he wanted to kill Urso, but he had to, he decided not to because he cared about Jin and he changed his ways. But we see him here basically, which looks like doing his first kill. And you could see the horror on his face that he killed someone. And now he's on the run. So we set up this nice little mini story of just him. And we haven't even gotten to the actual intrigue, which is the Star Wars story of how the rebellion started.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much going on here, so many layers. And the acting is superb. Every single one. I don't like obviously that middle management dude working with the corporation. He's obnoxious. But he's the Hux. He's supposed to be obnoxious.
But Lunga, don't you think the character is so good because of that? I mean, one thing I can say about the show, I think compared to all the other shows, is I absolutely know every single character's motivation down to the T. Like the relationship between Bix and Tim, everything about it made sense. This new guy who's coming in, who's really anal about finding Cassian, and then he has I think his name is Linus or Lemus or whatever, like the guy who's like. Kind of like, yes, Commander, and he says shit or something like that, and everybody was like, oh, they said shit in Star Wars. Like, these 2 characters are so believable. If you have this guy who wants to be an overachiever but doesn't really know what he's doing, and then you have his like kind of captain or a sidekick who is like really good at his job and just kind of there to help guide him in a way. I mean, don't you find these characters very believable in the Star Wars universe compared to what we've seen in like Andor or not Andor, in Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett?
100%.
Was that a question?
I mean, it was a bit. It was an open-ended of like, what do you think about these characters being so believable? What do you think about the characters in this series so far compared to the characters from other series that we've seen from Star Wars?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. Like, we instantly know the motivation of each of these characters, right? And we're instantly drawn into them. And I'm really enjoying it. Kenobi, like I said, it's hard for me to compare it to Kenobi because Kenobi was a different kind of story. You know what I mean? Yes, there's other characters, but I don't think we were meant to feel this whole world. It was revolving around Kenobi, right? And Anakin. That's what the whole story was supposed to revolve around. This, rather, it's a world building. Even though it's weird to say world building in Star Wars, right? Because we're supposed to know all this stuff already. It's been around for so long, and it's in an era that it's supposed to be, right at the heart of the original series, original trilogy. But it's world building. And it's doing it so well, and it's also building these new characters because they're not just one shot. Like Kenobi, the characters we saw there, they were like, what's his face is the one dude's character in Kenobi, the Indian guy, the guy from the Eternals. I forget his name.
Of course you don't remember his name.
Small Johnny. Like his character was really unimportant, right? And it's like, are we going to care about him after this, 6 episodes of Kenobi? No, because he was just a plot foil, right? But in this, I think all these characters are going to play a part, and they also play a part, at least towards his character building. Kamal's character did nothing for any character building, but if you notice, like remember how at the end of the whole three episodes, it's like he's like, everyone's always telling me what to do. And you literally look at everyone he talks to, and the last line of every sentence when they're talking to Andor is them telling him to do what to do.
Yeah.
Every single person he acted is telling him what to do is the last line of their interaction with him. And that, when you're doing storytelling, those little things, a lot of people, it's hard for me to say, oh, people don't notice that, but I think that's the point. You're not supposed to notice it. They feel it, but they don't know why they feel it.
It's one of those things where you notice it upon rewatch, in my opinion. Like, I think of this as like a Breaking Bad. Like, Breaking Bad is my favorite show, my favorite series of all time. And one of the reasons is, like, when you first watch the entire series, and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it, but please do watch it. It's the greatest show you'll ever see. But when you watch Breaking Bad, the first time you watch it, like, I find myself rooting for Walter White the entire time. Even at the end, I'm like, I want him to win. Despite everything he's done, I want him to get through this and survive. And by the time I watch it a second, third, or fourth, or fifth, sixth time, because I'm crazy and I like watching the shows over and over again, the more you watch Breaking Bad, like Lunga was saying about Andor, you notice these subtle story things where you start realizing the second or third time you're watching this Breaking Bad series of like, actually all of this is Walter White's fault. All of this could be avoided. There's these small little things that you notice throughout the story that things that
it's
Walter
hilarious
does,
you bring up Breaking Bad. You talking about Walter, you're cheering for Walter White. The story was not about Walter, right?
Oh, who was it about? Was it Gus Fring?
It was about Pinkman.
Oh, well, okay, yes. I mean, he's another pivotal character, but
because all this shit's happening around him, and what I think they wanted people to connect with was Jesse, because he's like trapped in all this shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He goes from like the loser you can't stand at the beginning to at the end you're like, holy shit! Like this kid, you care so much about him, and you don't want anything bad to happen. He becomes the innocent one of it all. But Connor, we haven't gotten your thoughts. Palpamemes, please tell us, what do you think about Andor so far before me and Lunga talk ourselves into the dirt?
No, I'll let you guys go through. No,
you got to interrupt, man. You got to just interject.
I'm not about that. I'm not about that.
You need to. This is how conversations start. I'm doing it to you right fucking now. Do it.
Exactly. So what am I?
Just fucking go for it. Hit us.
No, I watched episode 1 on the day it released, and then I watched 2 and 3 literally like an hour before the show started. And 1 and 2 were, according to my own dad, dry. It was slow, but I liked that because it set up a lot of things. It set up good characters, it set up good motivations, and just an overarching plot that's going on with the Imperials and the rise of the rebellion and all that. But something that I expected, but still yet was surprised on how much it was the maturity level of this show. It's so just mature. I can't name any jokes or quips that happened, and maybe I've just, I don't know. Like, everything was just grounded and mature, and I really, really liked that. It was definitely a different feel for Star Wars, and that's a word that everyone who talks about this show is using, as they say it's different from normal Star Wars and stuff. And when you look back at Tony Gilroy, Star Wars grew up, it seems like, with this, and you look at Tony Gilroy, I believe someone, I'm not quoting this, but don't quote me, but like, I believe Tony Gilroy wasn't a huge fan of Star Wars before all this, or what is that all about? I read somewhere that he wasn't super into it, so a lot of people were worried, well, why are you bringing him on for this if he's not a huge, like a Jon Favreau type or Dave Filoni type fan? It's like I think he's honestly the perfect man for this.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second on that? Helps, because I want to because it's kind of a question too, and go off of what you're saying. I think people have this misconception that someone has to be a fan to make a good show involving an IP, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. The reason why we have the Filonis and the Favreaus is they're the knowledge guys, right? I think if you have a guy like Tony Gilroy, as long as he respects the material, right? Like, hey, I know people like this. I know there's a story here. I'm going to try to create a story here, but let me talk to other people and get input from as long as there's input given at some point. I think that is what's important rather than him having to be a fan. Like the issue we had with Rian Johnson, when people say, is that the guy literally spit in everyone's faces. It was like, your theories suck. Fuck you guys. That's
true. I mean, I can't deny that.
That's the issue. That's why people get offended. But it's like, you can make a good story and not necessarily be a fan. I mean, what do you think about that, though?
Oh, I agree 100% with that. I think it's actually important to get people, when we say not a fan, it depends on the level of severity of that. Okay, so when we think of fan making Star Wars, I think Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, where it's just, oh gosh, fan service after fan service. It's a fine, good story, but it's really backed and bounded by a lot of fan service, and that's I understand there's necessity for that in certain things, but then you've got the situation of Rian Johnson on this end, we'll say, where it's, I'm not going to say he's not a fan because he is a fan of Star Wars, but he did want to take Star Wars in a complete 180 direction and want to change everything despite being in the middle of a trilogy. I'm not going to get into that. Sorry, Goldman, if you're listening. But, and you have that. So I think what happened there when Tony Gilroy gets announced and they see him saying, oh, I like Star Wars, but it's not like all there for me, whatever he said, I can understand that people get worried and they get, PTSD from, I've seen this before. He's going to want to change stuff, but we haven't seen that yet. What we see is just, like I said, a grounded, mature story. Something I really, really like, and I think they're executing really well, is the political aspects. I know Star Wars is political. What? Something that's really reminding me of in current day stuff is the Russian-Ukraine war. The Empire is basically Russia. Ukraine is basically the rebellion. Somehow the rebellion in this is being, they're winning. I mean, I'm not going to get too far into the war and all that and what Vlad is doing.
Are they really winning though? It seems like they're getting their ass kicked in this one. Are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about Ukraine.
I'm talking long run. But right now, yes, Ukraine is winning. I mean, I'm not going to get too far into it, but yes, they're doing it right. I see that connection. It's really nice. This show has come out at a really, really good time with a corrupt government trying to take over a civil nation, but the civil nation is armed and they're ready to fight. And so I love seeing that. And what I like is we're seeing that right now at a small scale. You see, it was such a cool detail, them kind of almost like sounding the trumpet, but it's what happened here on this trailer. It's hitting that metal piece, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I was like, my Star Wars lizard brain went to, oh my gosh, we're about to see X-Wings, not even X-Wings. We're about to see ships. We're about to see 100 fighters, rebellions. No, it's just a few people, but they're all ready to fight. It's grounded, it's small scale because this is the very, very, very beginning of the rebellion. But as for the political aspects, I really see those connections with a corrupt government taking over and the disarming and trying to take over, and then the regimes happen and all that. So it's really, they're really doing a good job of that. And it's not that it's like, oh, they're throwing politics in your face. Politics is always,
I think what works for Star Wars in terms of politics is simple politics. When it's black and white, like when in a situation like this, everyone and their mother, no matter what timeline you're in, no matter what kind of story you're telling, everyone understands authoritarian government versus small little island nation or small little nation and a group of people who are, being oppressed. I mean, being from Texas, the big story was, remember the Alamo. We fought for our independence from Mexico. A bunch of Mexican people and a bunch of people from America would come over. A bunch of Texans. A lot of people were in Texas and were like, "Hey, we do not want to be ruled by Mexico anymore." And they, found their independence. And that's a story as old as time. And I think that works so well in Star Wars because it's so relatable to everyone's culture. It's so understanding. But when it does become, I think, modernized political, is if you have someone who, I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't even know. I can't even think of something that would make it modern day political. I mean, some people think of just simply having a female, like, a female like lead officer or something like that. People are going to be like, oh, that's making it like modern day political. It's like, no, it's not. But if you're commentating on modern day political stuff, like if you have someone who's saying, oh, this is a direct allegory to like Donald Trump, then it's like, okay, well, then you are making that a modern.
Or if you go Rings of Power fashion, and you have a female officer, when we've seen them all been, it's kind of, as far as the Empire goes or anything like that, it's very egalitarian, right? Or you see this suddenly this female officer who's like, all the men are like gaslighting her because like saying, you don't know what you're doing, you're crazy, you don't understand nothing, like just because she's a woman, and it's like we don't see that in this kind of story. That's where it doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. That's where it becomes a little bit too modern. I think it becomes something that people can have issue with, whether you think it's right or wrong. When it's simply you have this evil empire running things and all these people are trying to survive it and get out of it. How are you going to find that controversial?
You can apply that to so many scenarios. I mean,
it's history. It's
literally
history.
You can apply it to my example, the current Ukraine-Russian war. You can apply it to America itself. A lot of people in America are worried the government's going to eventually try and take over and overrule their citizens, and all that. You can apply it to so many things throughout history and in current times and stuff. And I think that's why it works so well right now, is it's it can be divisive in certain sense within the audience community, based on what views they have. But the simplicity of it is what George was going for. It wasn't Democrat versus Republican. People keep trying to make it out to be me and Akara were actually talking about this. He's in the chat here, and he posted about it a little bit. It was never Democrat or Republican. It was government. It was imperialism. That's not Republican or Democrat. That is just an overruling and powerful force of government taking over. It doesn't matter the side. But that's something I think George did a good job on with it.
I mean,
it's a simplicity aspect of it.
Lucas and the prequels. It was a legit allegory of George Bush. So
George Bush and there was one more. I can't remember who it was. But
and there's also Nixon, of course, with Palpatine. But the funny thing is, like, even with yet again the Nixon one, I feel like is not as controversial because I can't even clearly, I know so many conservatives who don't even remotely try to defend Nixon or even give a fuck about him. There's not that many people who like Nixon as a president. But when it comes to the allegory to George Bush, people did have an issue with that, with the prequels, because at the time it was very much, hey, like, what are you talking about? You're shitting on, not only a recent president or a current president, but, we actually are pretty proud of our country and what we were doing at the time, and it felt right and all that stuff. Hindsight's always 20/20, but the point with that is that the reason I think people look at the prequels with they try to say now, like, oh, well, Lucas used the politics in the prequels and you guys love that. I'm like, okay, the prequel fans pretend to love it, but no one actually loved it when those movies came out. A big issue with the prequels was the overabundance of politics, the over-reliance on politics. And what's so surprising is I remember thinking about the criticism something like Attack of the Clones had, which was all they do is talk. They just keep talking and talking. The first 2 episodes of Andor isn't really all that action-packed. It is a little bit of talking, but I find the dialogue so engaging. I find the politics of it so simple and easy storytelling.
Yeah, but there was a purpose to it. The purpose was to build tension.
Yes, the first 2 episodes, I feel like, in Andor, the first 2 episodes in
Andor
you
brought up Attack of the Clones.
Tension.
I'm like,
sorry, I
like
lost
Attack
you.
of the Clones now?
No, he got so in Attack of the Clones. I brought it up. He was like, God, I love that movie so much. But no, I'm talking about Andor, where the first 2 episodes are slow. They are about dialogue. They are about building these characters. But just like, I'm bringing this back to Breaking Bad, it takes a while to build up these characters. You got to know who Walter White is before he, shoots some fucking guy or starts cooking meth. You got to know who these characters are. You have to know their motivations. And the Andor series does that very well. In the first 2 episodes, it builds up to the climactic 3rd episode. Well, now everything's really happening. Everything's really kicking into gear. And we don't really know what's going to happen next. And so I like that series, or I like about this series so far, is that it does build into these character motivations. It does build into where the story is going. And you understand all of it, as opposed to some of the other shows where you don't really understand what these characters are doing. It doesn't allow you to build these kind of moments with just dialogue alone. And looking back at Attack of the Clones and the way they use politics, they talked a lot, and a lot of people didn't like the prequels for that reason. They didn't like the politics. They didn't like the dialogue. I don't feel like Andor is going to have that issue because you actually have good characters, you have good writing, and you have good storytelling with a satisfying payoff, and you see that within the first 3 episodes.
I mean, even the droid. Can we give a shout out to a B droid that makes everyone forget about BB-8?
Yes.
Ain't no one forgetting about BB-8.
He's cute as hell. Oh yeah, and of course.
The stutter is adorable. The stutter is adorable.
Yeah. Dio did it first. J.J. Abrams is the blueprint.
Oh, shut up. I don't even remember that droid. I don't even remember that.
You're talking about that little shit droid that was basically a wheel with a head? Is that what you're talking about?
Cone face is what Poe calls him?
Yeah, that dumbass? Yeah. That was pointless?
JJ's the blueprint. He's like,
oh my God, here we go. Okay. Release the JJ cut. He's a
that is a disservice to JJ Abrams. JJ Abrams is better than Zack Snyder. That's not
Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. Someone freaking said it. Thank you.
I don't know why it needed to be said. I know Lunga is more aware about Zack Snyder than I am, but the weird fact, like this weird obsession with him that people think he's like a good director or something is asinine. He is. I've seen 300. Okay, like that's about as good as he's gonna get. I'm sorry. I don't know why people like Zack Snyder so much. I can't believe.
Watchmen was great. What are you talking about? Yeah, Watchmen was awesome.
It is. It's great. He didn't, do much after that, in my opinion, but good Good for him.
Hey man, he could have fixed the prequels. You remember what he told George?
Yeah, he can go fuck himself. Is what he can do. Anyway,
Sucker Punch. I love Sucker Punch.
I haven't thought about Sucker Punch in years. I'm just a Zack Snyder hater. I think I'm coming to that.
Anyways, back to Andor.
Back to the greatest series of all time. What do you guys hope for this as a series going forward? Because I feel like the series will not really grow in popularity as much. I don't know if word of mouth is going to do this series justice like it did for The Mandalorian, but we know we're getting a season 2. Do you feel like this is going to reset things over there at Lucasfilm and make them see that you can deliver quality storytelling with quality storytellers?
Can I say one thing that has to kind of do with that? One thing that does make me really upset and sad, just disappointed as a fan, is I look at this and just looking at this trailer, looking at the first 3 episodes, I'm like, this is just gorgeous. This directing is phenomenal. It's cinematography, it's production value. They use real sets, etc., etc. And then I look back to, oh gosh, when did Kenobi come out? 5 months ago, something like that? No, wait. When was Kenobi? I don't even remember.
Carl, I'll fucking kill you. Just want to get that out there.
Kenobi, and then I look back at Kenobi and I'm like, She-Hulk got a higher budget than Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi. But then Andor
practical effects versus CGI.
Yes,
I don't care.
Lunga is half right here too, and I'm gonna get the other half here.
But
Pablo said this best on Twitter. He literally addressed the situation. I'm gonna say I'm starting to appreciate Pablo Hidalgo every day that goes by because of his transparency that he's trying to give us on Twitter, even though I think some of it is a bit of a farce. He said that the reason this series looks so good, he basically made this kind of statement that was covering all of this in one little tweet, which was, if you really think like one show looks better than the other, it has nothing to do with like anything behind the scenes. It just has to do with the people who are making the series. And I think he's right. I think this series shows what can happen if you have someone who really cares about what the show looks like. When you have an actual series director, it's a night and day. You can't tell me. It is beautiful. Like, let's say this Kenobi series had a production budget, only production, I'm not talking about marketing or anything outside of that, of $100 million for the entire 6 episodes. The Andor series, what do we have? Is it 12 episodes in total for this entire series?
12,
or is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I think so. And they already greenlit season 2, right?
Exactly. There's 12 episodes in this show. Let's say the budget, and let's just give it the benefit of the doubt, extra 6 episodes. Let's say it's $130 million, and let's say they gave that extra $30 million because of the extra episodes. Why does this look so vastly better? Well, it's not because of the budget. It's because of how you allocate that budget, how you use what you're dealt with. I mean, this is tales all the time in story and filmmaking.
And let's not sleep on how good your cinematographer is, because that makes a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely.
No
doubt.
I don't even know who the cinematographer this is, but Toby Haynes is the series director. And I was a little doubtful when he took over because I was like, man, it's supposed to be Tony Gilroy, and I have a lot of trust in him. Tony Gilroy nailed the story. It looks like Toby Haynes is nailing the look of it. And then whoever the DP is, I'm sorry if I don't have it.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from with that.
Sorry, Lord Master, I haven't quit yet.
Can we mention how, for me at least, I'm thinking from the way you guys are talking, you might feel the same way. How it had such a Star Wars feel without a lot of Star Wars stuff. If that makes sense.
Yes, because it's not like, oh my God, you remember the Millennium Falcon? Well, here it is again. Like there's nothing in your face about it.
Yes. Oh my gosh!
It's not going above and beyond to tell you that it is Star Wars. It is a story that just happens to be taking place in the Star Wars universe.
I will say that's what.
You know what? Actually, the first 3 episodes kind of remind me of the beginning of Fallen Order.
Yes, yeah, I can see that. The shipwrecks, the shipbuildings. But I want to say that's a testament to how good the world building is in Star Wars in general. That we can get a story like this that there's not a whole lot of connections, but you just look at it and you're like, that's like that shot of B2 Emo just driving by, and you're like, that just looks like Star Wars.
Well,
not a single thing from any of the other films.
It doesn't look like it's in Star Wars a lot better than some of the other stuff. Like
just the little taser he has, which is R2 started it. It's like that little thing is like, oh, there it is. There's a little tie-in. Makes it feel Star Wars.
when like Cassian's going to his friend, is it Boris or Barris or something like that? The guy he like lies to about having drinks with that one night.
Brasso.
Brasso, thank you. He like they put all their gloves on like a wall. And like it looks kind of like odd, but I'm like, okay, that looks like Star Wars. He gets on this little vehicle with a bunch of other like crewmates, and they're all going off. Like they've made that little town feel so much more realistic than what they did in the first episode with Kenobi and where he was at on Tatooine.
Yeah,
even
those
I thought about
mean something because you heard them talking. Oh, give me that one. Give me those. Give me those. It's like it's some kind of wall of fame. Like, you know, it's the gloves. They've showed it so many times and highlighted it. You know what I mean? That it feels like Cadet Town, at least, without explaining it fully. Those gloves mean something.
Yes, and it's crazy how those small little details like that can tell that much of a story, can tell you that much about the universe. And that's what I think that's what people forget what made the original trilogy of Star Wars so unique, is that this wasn't really a new story. It was a new universe, new franchise, new IP. But George Lucas took inspirations from so many different cultures, so many different stories. And one thing I think that made The Mandalorian work and show that this is how Star Wars should work is The Mandalorian it's kind of a simple space western, a spaghetti western of this cowboy bounty hunter, and who happens to take care of this kid. Oh, and by the way, it's set in the Star Wars universe. It's that kind of story that works so well, and I think
then you get
the Andor
season
series is
2,
repeating it.
You know what, Mando, which I love,
no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to start you right there, Palpamemes. You're not going to start revisioning.
I was just about to say, I love Mando season 2, but it is not grounded like the first. I love the season 2, and I will continue to love it, but it is not grounded.
Okay, well, you're too late to
complain.
Right,
it's just not nowhere near as grounded as The Rise of Skywalker.
Now that movie is, I mean, the Star Destroyer is coming out of the ice caps. That's how ungrounded it is.
We're
and I love it.
From hyperspace route to hyperspace route.
And I love
hyperspace skipping.
Light speed. Thank you very much.
I want to touch on something that you mentioned, Star Wars Only, about how you don't know if it's going to get as much traction like Mando did. You know, one thing that people forget, and this may be controversial to all the Star Wars fans that watch, and you know, because we're all sweaty nerds and we're all like the experts, and we all like, I love my Star Wars. Blah, 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 blah. For a series to be popular like Mandalorian, it wasn't because it captivated the entirety of the Star Wars fandom. It brings in the normies. Okay, that's what it brings in. It brings in the casual watchers, the people who just want to watch something. It's like, hey, yeah, I've heard of Star Wars. They're not really super fans or whatever. And it drags in the normies to watch the show. And something like Andor can do that. Okay, that's why it has the viewership it's already had and why it can continue to grow. And Star Wars fans who don't like it are going to be like, I don't understand this. Who the hell is watching this show?
That's something I want to bring up is, does Andor have a high viewership? Because I've seen a lot of reports and a lot of people talk about how low the engagement rate is on this show.
Yeah. But I don't know.
It was trending the day it released. It was number 2 on trending from when I woke up and saw it. But that quickly dropped after a few hours into the day.
I mean, it had some. I mean, this isn't viewership, but it had some the Rotten Tomatoes thing where it was like those highly rated thing next.
The Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, for sure. But in terms of views, I don't know if this is gonna get a ton of views. You know, we know She-Hulk is super low. I hate to say it, I can't imagine this is anywhere away from She-Hulk in terms of views. I'm just going based off of engagement, and there's a lot of, like, even on Twitter, like, there's this huge thing on Twitter of a ton of content creators, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, and they all unanimously agreed that engagement level for this show was
because nobody cares about the character of Cassian Andor. Yes. And they're sleeping on him.
That's my point.
They're sleeping on him. Diego Luna is so fucking good, dude. I mean, he's so good.
Oh, well, the problem is what we knew about this going in. I mean, I remember literally the second they announced the Cassian Andor series, everybody and their mother went, first of all, who the fuck is Cassian Andor and why do I care? Oh, that guy from Rogue One? Oh, okay. And so it's not saying, like, I think the issue is that it is not very interesting off the premise alone. Like, even, I mean, Jesus, the day it came out, Wednesday, I don't even think I watched it until, like, later that night. And then I think I watched 20 minutes of it, and I was like, I don't really care. And I went to sleep, and then finished it the next day.
Or it's like Kenobi. I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning before work just to watch Kenobi, even though.
Well, yeah, that's because you're insane. No, I'm playing. I was literally in Anaheim watching it in a fucking hotel room with a bunch of other people. I can't talk. I was at Star Wars Celebration for it. Well, we always got next year or the year after.
London.
I don't know if I'm going to London. If I can afford it, maybe. But I really think about it.
No way. If I couldn't afford Anaheim, I ain't affording London.
Exactly.
Unless something crazy happens, and I make a ton of money suddenly. I don't know, my 3D printing explodes, and I sell 5,000 eggs. It's about the only thing that's gonna.
Chat. If we set up a donation of, can you guys fund Chatswain to go to Celebration? I know you guys won't meet the mark, but we can try, right? Like, because how fucked up could that not be? We tell you, hey, we want to go do this very fun thing. Please pay our way there.
Oh,
listen. I am not one of those people who is like ashamed by that, because that's literally what YouTube does and content creators do.
Absolutely.
It's a common thing, and it's not like saying, "Hey, pay my electric bill." It's
yeah, of course. Well, Okaira says he'll pay for me to go. So I have a sugar daddy. I guess I'm chilling.
Well, hold on. He told me the same thing. So does that mean?
We're going to London? Palpamemes is you're younger than me and you're not as experienced, and it takes some experience that I have that Okairo needs. All right.
Listen, all I'm saying is I just finished watching the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix. Just be careful, guys. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was good.
Well, all I'm saying, Lunga, is Ted Bundy had 50 bitches in his courtroom, begging, pleading. Who's to say Okairo can't have the same? Oh my God. Anyways, yes. First of all, I will be trying to go to the London one. I won't be able to get a media badge because I don't think they're doing it this year. So fuck me. But even if I did get it, I normally end up paying anyway.
YouTubers are too mean. We're too mean on them, so we can't.
Dude, we're horrible. We're fucking horrible.
We say our genuine thoughts. We're not allowed.
I think this series could spread by word of mouth, but I don't know if the name Cassian Andor is enough to bring that traction in. Because man, I mean, he's just not that interesting of a character. This series can bring that out of him, but it's one of those things where, like, the Mandalorian had Baby Yoda, easily recognizable, easily popular, something everyone could spread, and it did kind of feel like it impacted the overall Star Wars universe in a different way. This it's like a character study in a way of Cassian Andor himself, and then the other characters that are involved with the series. So it can be very interesting, but I don't know if that can mean that it's going to be very popular, especially with
you shut your whore mouth.
I hope it is, because if the next episodes go based on how good the first three were written and produced, etc. Of course I want Star Wars to just thrive and be the biggest IP in the world again, like it was when TFA first came out. That was insane. I don't know if we'll ever get that. Maybe in 2025 or 26 or whatever, whenever the new movie comes out, if it comes out, if it's being made.
Don't even get me fucking started on that, please.
Yeah, are we talking about news? Or
this is where I'm at right now. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan too. My wedding was a Lord of the Rings. I have my wedding ring is a one ring. Okay, and the Rings of Power. Cassian Andor is twice as good, 3 times as good so far for me than Rings of Power.
I've heard so many things of that show. I'm staying away from it.
My quick thing on Rings of Power is that it's good, and I don't like that it's not as consistent with like the lore that it should be. Because that's
I'm okay with really that as long as the story is good, right? Yeah. Or they're not like we talked about earlier. With like a female officer in the Empire, like making the story revolve around her being, gaslighted by men. That's when it's bad. That's what they're doing in Rings of Power, and that's the problem I have with it. They're fundamentally changing characters so much to suit the narrative that they want to show in the story, and that's why it's just not good anymore. Especially when you when you think an elvish society is an egalitarian society. You know what I mean? So just to have it this way is silly. To introduce the Harfoots that weren't even around in the Second Age is silly. Just for story and they're unnecessary for the story. They're really not adding to the story. That's when it becomes a big problem for me, and that's why it's just not fun. Whereas House of the Dragon has a lot of the same social issues, right? A lot of the same misogyny, but it fits in that world, and they're telling the story well. That's why it works.
It's so curious to me because I'm a fan of both of them too. Like I will say House of Dragon is better because of the characters are a lot more interesting. I feel like Rings of Power is just really taking its unnecessary time trying to build to something. But I can kind of see what you mean. Like I talked about it to a friend. I was like, I thought it was weird that Galadriel even had like a sword and was such a good like fighter. And I was like, I don't mean that like I ever expected her to be a bad fighter. I was like, I thought she was like Palpatine, where she was like above using a sword. Like Palpatine's above using a lightsaber in the original trilogy. So I thought that was going to be kind of the thing with Galadriel. I was like, she's too good for that. But I also said, I was like, it makes it seem like everyone's stupid and she's the best when like there's this ice troll that fucks up like all the elf guys that are with her, and then she's the only one who knows how to take it down, which is completely fine. I mean, she can kick its ass, but it's like you're really bringing these idiots to fucking fight Sauron and destroy him, and you're the only one who's even like a competent fighter. It's stuff like that where like Lunga's talking about how it kind of takes you out and go like, really, like this is what you're telling. That's the only like issue I've had with Rings of Power so far, but I've kind of enjoyed the series for the most part. But you know, I just do my thing. Oh, and apparently House of Dragon starts in 4 minutes. I had no idea that shit was even coming out like right now or at night. I'm so happy to like not be in the loop with some of these shows because like I'll wake up one day and I'll be like, holy shit, a new Rings of Power episode is out. Oh my god, a new House of Dragon. So whenever Chatswain is over, I'm gonna go to my car, smoke a flat blunt, and then I'm gonna come back to my room and watch House of Dragon. And am I gonna do anything else? I don't think I have any food to eat or like junk food, so I guess I can't do that.
Dang.
Still, yeah.
Rip.
Well, anyways, so Lunga's getting attacked by the rain at the moment. Palpamemes.
Yes,
before we call it, oh, poor fucking Lunga. Just trapped in his car.
Not it.
Oh my god. Look at that target. Is there a way you can solo lay out a guy? Can I make him the main? Oh, I can't. Wait. I was gonna do that to you, Connor. Just highlight you.
I don't want to.
Oh, look at you! There you go.
My beautiful face.
We can do it like that. I need to learn StreamYard.
Yeah, I like. No, wow. Yeah, there you go.
I want to update the show to a new service, but maybe in the next Chatooine or the next Chatooine after that we can do that. And as you guys know, we didn't get to the one super chat earlier, but if you guys ever have any questions, we get to the super chats at the end of the show. We got one from Grievous Reborn. Thank you very much. He says, I don't agree with the people who are saying this doesn't feel like Star Wars. Star Wars isn't just the Jedi, the Sith, and the Force. And he's got a very good point because this is a show that does kind of feel like Star Wars. Andor does really take you to that galaxy far, far away. I think in a pretty easy way, just by the way they have it set up, by the like we were talking about the gloves earlier and how much story is already behind that. These planets and these settings that they go to, they do feel like Star Wars. And I don't think it's because, you know, there's Jedi and Sith and the Force there. It's because it is just a universe. It is a galaxy far, far away that feels lived in. That's a big thing for me about, you know, a lot of new Star Wars projects is some of the worlds that they take you to don't really feel lived in. I noticed when I first watched Andor in that first episode, I was like, this looks better than Batuu, the place that they have for Galaxy's Edge. It's supposed to be like an immersive experience. But for some reason, Andor feels and looks a lot better than Batuu does. And I guarantee it wasn't $1 billion to create Andor. It was $1 billion to create Batuu.
Fuck Batuu.
You haven't even been to Batuu, bitch. All right.
I don't want to. You know what? I've never been to third world hellholes. Doesn't mean I want to travel to them.
Hellhole. First of all, Orlando ain't that bad. All right, it's not as bad.
Batuu is.
Well, yes, but if you Palpamemes, Goldman, and of course you too, Okairo, since you're in the chat, if you guys are ever out in Orlando, I will get you into Batuu for free. All right, your boys
nah.
You.
Palps, talk to JJ and tell him to like target Batuu for explosion with, you know, the million starter.
We're gonna get that story. Yeah, so I wanted to destroy Batuu in my next movie, but you know they didn't really like that
JJ's like, that's a great idea because I was just thinking for the next Star Wars movie, what if we had the super weapon and it destroys planets?
What if we have 500 mini Death Stars instead of 100?
Yeah. But this time it comes from Kylo Ren's lightsaber. His lightsaber is a planet-destroying weapon. He turns it on. Yeah.
It's like an infinite laser. It just
every
goes
time
on
he takes
forever.
a piss, he just takes out a fucking planet. My God. Second fuck Galaxy's Edge and Batuu. You guys are dirty. You guys are dirty.
I've never been. I can't say.
It's not that great, man. It's really not.
Yeah.
It's so sad. But like I said, that goes to the point of immersing these people in the Star Wars universe.
$1 billion. That's insane.
You know, that's a good Chatooine topic we can do one day of what would you have done with Galaxy's Edge or
I have the whole idea. I could give you a whole layout. I give you a map, everything. My main issue, and I've said this over and over again, my main issue with fucking Batuu is for marketing reasons, because they thought they could sell stuff. They needed to create a new planet to be the home of Star Wars and Disney instead of, I don't know, using one of the fucking bajillion planets that already existed in the Star Wars universe.
They literally just had to build Tatooine and Mos Eisley. Like, all you had to do was
build Mos Eisley. That's what they did. Honestly, they built Tatooine and called it fucking Batuu.
Yeah. But it wasn't.
Could you imagine going to the actual Mos Eisley Cantina? I mean, that would sell so much.
Oh my god, it'd be amazing.
Yes. That's a no-brainer. How are you going to not have a Mos Eisley Cantina at a theme park?
Was it Iger that?
It was Iger and probably Kathleen Kennedy. Like, both these dumb like, it literally, like Lunga said, it's like the no-brainer. Like, if someone's like, hey, only you have $2 billion. Now, I want you to make something Star Wars based in the real world that's going to bring a lot of money. Mos Eisley Cantina. Are you sure? It's not Mos Eisley Cantina.
$2 billion. Just give me, just use 2 million of it to build a cantina. Do the rest, whatever the fuck you want with the rest.
Oh my god. Okara says Iger triggers his PTSD. Well, it's funny too, is because I live in Orlando, so I have a bunch of friends who are Disney cast members, and they talk about Disney stuff all the time, and it's unique hearing that in its relation to like Star Wars and Lucasfilm, because you have this new CEO Bob Chapek, and everyone hates him. I'm one of those people who kind of hates Iger as well, because I look back at Iger and I'm like, he really set this bad precedent for like most future content with Disney in general, which is, who is doing it better than us?
I mean, to be fair, Chapek looks like a very chubby Palpatine, so, you know.
Hey, he's lost weight, Lunga. All right, he's lost weight. He's growing the beard a little bit.
But Palpatine is kind of skeletal, you know. So, you know,
Palpatine doesn't eat. I mean,
yeah, there ain't no.
So you got fat shaming on one end,
and
then you've got, I don't know, what is the other one? Anorexia shaming. I don't know. Stay healthy, my friend.
We slut shame, we fat shame, we do any shaming here on Chatooine. All right, we are the least racist podcast and
drink 8 bottles of blue milk a day, guys. 8 bottles of blue milk a day.
Oh, don't even get me started on the blue milk, guys. I'm telling you, you guys go to Batuu
right from the teats
with me. I will suck anybody for fucking blue milk, man. Give me your blue milk. It's so fucking good. It is so fucking good.
Were you drinking it like Luke, right off the teeth? Just
exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you got a nipple and it produces blue milk, I'll suck you. No doubt in my. I love that. It is so sweet.
Someone got to clip that.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Gotta get that Clips channel going and only thoughts on the blue milk of.
No. If you have a nipple and it produces blue milk, I will suck the fuck out of that.
Exactly, man. Well, hey, we need to put clips for Chatooine in general. We have a lot of plans for Chatooine that we're all kind of like time consumed with. One of the things, and I want to hear the chat's thoughts, and also your guys. I thought about like we can do weekly segments. Like, what if we had like a segment like This Week in Star Wars History, and the next segment we have like This Week in Star Wars Twitter, and then also this week of Goldman at some poor Denver fucking Broncos game tuning in.
Getting lit.
My God, we have had a few beers. I don't know which team of yours is playing. I'm assuming one of them is who are the Broncos playing tonight? I hope whoever your team is, they lose.
The Tatooine Banthas.
They're going against San Francisco 49ers. So I don't know which one of your teams it is, Goldman, but I hope they fucking lose. Just because I hate football and I'm tired of all of it. Give me $2 billion and I'm building an Umbara BB gun range. Oh my God.
It's kind of sick, actually.
That would be beautiful. That would be beautiful.
A whole airsoft course going on.
I mean, how much do they skim on that whole little? Don't they have? Isn't there that virtual like lightsaber fucking room you're supposed to go in, and it's like cheap as fuck?
It's called.
That's on the cruise ship, right? That's on the cruise ship.
Ultra thick lightsaber hilts.
Well, yeah, you have the one. So the cruise ship, the Halcyon, you do the lightsaber like class where you like block stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't they just do a virtual reality thing? Like literally have virtual reality and Blade and Sorcery is $300, and
those lightsabers look like shit, dude. They look like a cheap ass, chonky ass 5-year-old lightsaber.
They absolutely are, and they break all the time. But I will say this: my boss at one of my jobs out here in Orlando, he has done the Halcyon thing 3 times. I'll say that again, 3 fucking times.
Must be nice.
swimming in money.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like 15 grand right there.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of it's tax write-offs for the company that he owns. But regardless, he says it's really good. He's like, it is what you make of it. But he says that a lot of people who have consistently done it, they say it's very, very good. Now, with that said,
done it. That's
yes. Well, he's consistently done it, but I'm just saying, like if you've done the Halcyon, and people who have done it, like, they say it's good. Can't afford it, of course, but they say it's good and it's very fun.
Sure. Were they Star Wars fans, or were they 50-something, 40-something rich people just want to take their kids for something and like, oh, my kids had fun?
Fans, yes, but they weren't I haven't met a die-hard Star Wars fan.
Right.
But
they asked their 6-year-old brats, "Did you like it?" Yay! And they're like, "Oh, great."
Some of these people I do respect for sure, but I do understand what you mean. This is ridiculous in the price point, and to have a casual audience go to in general. But I also have I think I have 2 or 3 friends who work at the ride called Rise of Resistance in a Galaxy's Edge. And what happens there is that you can see people with the Halcyon thing, like they're meant to have like a special ID or something, and you have to treat them differently. They told me I had dinner with them a while ago.
Sounds like YouTube.
Pretty much. They said at the beginning of it, they said a lot of people had the little Halcyon things, like when the ride, or not the ride, the hotel first opened. They're like, yeah, we saw it all the time. They say they don't see anybody anymore from like the Halcyon cruise. So I really think
I forgot that thing existed. Like genuinely,
of course you did.
Like, it was it was fun making a video on it. That was always funny. I love the controversy because it was just entertaining, but.
Well, because it's so
it just comes and goes. It's
everyone
gone.
knew how ridiculous it was from the start. Of, oh my god, this is $3,000 to $5,000 to stay 2 nights in a Star Wars hotel
alone by yourself. That's without other people.
It came with $1 million.
No. I thought that was the family one. I thought isn't like 2,000 per person or something like that.
No, it's still if it's 2,000, it's like 2,700 or 2,800, not including taxes.
Okay,
and that's for 2 people. So it's not cheap. And once again, it is only for 2 days. And why this is a hard sell is because living in Orlando, I've noticed families come here and they do one of 2 things. They either go to Disney for 3 or 4 days, or they go to Disney and Universal for like 4 to 5 days or 4 to 6 days. If you're
Universal is a far more superior park.
I mean, that's debatable. I find it more superior because it's more adult themed. It's fun. It's a lot more fun. It's not so fucking magical, and everyone's really nice and happy to shut the fuck up, get in line, ride the ride. That's as simple as Universal is. I love it. But the reason the Halcyon thing doesn't work and this new Star Wars hotel doesn't work is because you're telling this family, and we're going to use Denver because that's what not only freaking Goldman is in right now, but also that's what Chapek used in his new CEO thing, where he was talking about, we want the family from Denver to come here, not the family from down the street who comes here like once every few months and whatnot. You want the money that people spend from Denver. But if that family from Denver is flying down to Orlando,
who already spent like $3,000 on airline tickets,
are they going to want to spend $2,000 to $3,000 just to stay in one place for 2 to 3 days? It is a great experience. Don't get me wrong. They only get to go to one park. They only get to go to Galaxy's Edge, which is Hollywood Studios, and that's it. So they get to go to one theme park.
I'd pay that if I had home pickup. Like they came to my house, picked me up, and took me.
Does it have to be Star Wars themed? The pickup?
No. Star Wars. It doesn't have to be. If I get picked up at my house, flown out there, and then get to enjoy the hotel room, then I'd pay that much. If that's not happening, no point. I'm not doing it.
Lunga, I think we found a compromise then. Okairo has just messaged me and said if I pick you up and deliver you, he will pay for us to take us out to London.
We're gonna get these big ass limos pulling up to our places and we're like, the hell?
But he said the only condition was Lunga has to be hogtied in the back of the trunk.
Oh yes, that's not happening. I'm a top. Okay. Sorry.
I was about to say, I don't know which way you swing, Lunga, but we don't kink shame here on Chatooine.
I'm 100% a top. Yeah, no.
There you go. All right. Well,
I didn't spend all them years learning Shibari to be the bottom.
My God. Well, if you ever feel like being a power bottom, we can make a transition for you here on Chatooine. Well, do you guys have any final comments before we close out the show? This was a good little return. welcome back kind of episode for the
went
folks
exactly
here at
how I
Chatswain.
expected it would go.
yeah. We talk about hog tying Lunga. That's exactly how it does always go up at the end. But
there's no other Star Wars podcast like us. I'll be honest.
Absolutely. Have you guys ever listened to another Star Wars podcast?
All the time, and I love them. I love them. Don't get me wrong.
I've not listened to a single fucking one.
I don't listen to anyone. I don't even look at Palpamemes' channel.
Oh shit!
I don't even look at my channel. I don't upload anymore.
I haven't looked at Goldman's channel.
Mean by mutuals?
I literally watch some of StarWarsOnly every now and then. That's about it.
That actually does mean a lot, though. So I'm trying to think of who I've listened to. There's one guy called Talking Bay 94. I've listened to him once or twice on I think on my drive out to Orlando, because I remember I made that drive 7 times from here in Texas in 2020. And one of the times I listened to that, I've listened to a mutuals with him on Twitter, Around the Galaxy.
ATG.
I've listened to one of his because he interviewed the journalist who broke the Gina Carano news, and I'm always interested in the media aspect of Star Wars, so that was kind of a cool podcast to listen to.
He did something with Matt Martin too, if I recall correctly.
No shit. Well, pays to be a
I guess I could say this. I won't give you guys know about it, but I won't give details. But I did get offered a position to write entertainment news for a website on movie stuff. So that should be starting soon. But I will give more details when it's set in stone.
Well, I'm very excited for that endeavor in your life, Lunga, and I hope it goes very well for you. Hopefully our podcast can get to a point where we all just live off of Chatooine. That's a far reach down the future, and Star Wars has to do a lot better than it's currently doing for that to happen. And maybe we have to be better people, because if people are getting Matt Martin and all these other fuckers on their Star Wars podcast, what are we doing wrong?
Dude, let me get good old Pablo. I've got beef with him, man. He straight up told me that there's no other cut of Rise of Skywalker out there. I got triggered, man. I just said
I'm sorry the truth triggers you.
I got triggered, man. I was full on Zack Snyder cut Justice League cultist mentality.
I mean, he's closer to this than you are. I mean, do you really think he's
not telling the truth? He's not telling the truth.
You don't think he's telling the truth?
All right,
you really trust your sources?
So we're going on a record, and this is why we can't have nice things. We're going on a record. Palpamemes has said that Pablo Hidalgo is a liar. That's where we're at right now.
Okay,
he wonders why he won't be on the show.
I take those words back. Don't quote me on that. Is this show live?
No. This thing on? No. We'll try to get somebody on here. Actually, I told you guys the other day I had an email about interviewing Ashley Eckstein, but it wasn't for anything all that unique. It was for her new book, and they were like, "Please email me back if you want to interview her," and I was like.
Dude, just give her my email and say message me here, and then I'll talk to her.
Nah, I don't know. Fuck yeah, go for it.
Palpamemes returns with Ashley Eckstein.
Wait. Palpamemes. We're trying to convince her to probably be on the show. Sending her to you is not the way to go.
Oh, I'm a very convincing person, Lunga. You have no idea.
Hey man, she is sweet as candy and cute as a button, but she do not tolerate bullshit. That's for damn sure.
How old is you guys? How old is she?
I don't know.
Gosh, she's got to be in her 30s, man. Let me check.
Right. You all just barely are able to drink at this point.
Barely.
What do you mean? I'm 22.
She's 40.
You couldn't drink when Andor was announced.
Shit.
All right, you got me there.
You're right about that. Yeah.
But hey, Lunga, I was drinking when it got announced.
Well, here, legally.
Yeah. Well, Lunga's known me for a while. He knows that I've always been a 50-year-old man trapping this young buddy. No, Ashley Eckstein is 41 years old. She was born September 22nd, 1981. Damn.
Yeah.
Her homegirl's a spring chicken. Man, goddamn, the
half
80s
my
were
age,
40
man.
years ago
Perfect.
now.
She's half my age. Right?
She's only 7 years younger than me.
You're half her age, motherfucker.
Shit. Well, you know what? Same thing.
See, he's in my age group, okay? We're both in our 40s. So
hey, it's all preference.
Yeah.
Your group, your range, it's all preference.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I am married, goddammit. I'm talking about
Oh, wait. Yes.
He's like, I have a preference. It's called my fucking wife.
For the interview, yes.
Jesus Christ.
Gosh.
I'm talking more about the legitimacy of getting her on the show.
Me too.
He's like, I'm gonna get her alone in a room. Like,
small loan of $1 million.
This is the interview.
Hey, Ashley, you're going to London, Ashley? You're going to London? We got a little GoFundMe going for us to go there too.
London's a nice place.
Can you pitch a little bit? I'll send you Pyro's PayPal. Just pay him. He'll send the money.
Here's my cash.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Chatooine's return. I will try to make more videos on my channel, keep the channel up to date. Hopefully, Palpamemes does the same. If you guys have any ideas, any segments you guys want us to do you guys want us to cover a certain topic every week that's not like newsworthy or but like, I don't know, something that's relevant in Star Wars history or something that happened on Twitter or Reddit or a new leak. Like, if there's any new segments or anything new that you guys want us to add to the show to make it more unique and engaging, let us know. Hopefully we'll start try uploading like clips onto the Chatooine channel, trying to find a way to utilize that in the best way possible and just grow Chatooine as a show and as a podcast. We want to not only bring in more audience, make it more engaging and make it more fun for you guys. We live to serve. We're here to entertain and have a good time. So if you guys have any ideas, please let us know. Shoot us a DM. Shoot any of us privately. Just tell us what you guys think we should do. Hell, if you want a job, we don't pay, but I mean, we can try. You know, I'll send you.
We are looking for a clip editor, someone to make clips, to go through the hours and hours and hours of stuff that we do not want to go through.
Exactly. Do the work we don't want to do and that we can't really afford to do. Lunga can't afford to stop for 1 second. I owe so much money for, cocaine and hookers that I really can't stop making money right now. You guys don't know.
And coming soon, lawsuits.
No, God.
Chatooine season 5, everyone.
Turns out Disney's going to be suing me for every intellectual piece of property I've ever put on the channel. Those documentaries are actually going to end up costing me millions. Thank you very much. And I'll see you all in court. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Star Wars Only, joined with Palpamemes and Lunga. Next week, Goldman will be here. And we'll be here to talk about the 4th episode of Andor and maybe some other stuff pertaining to Star Wars. Till then, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.
What?